My personal view, you don't go to Fortnite, you just go to the website, meta sites. You go to the Chrome, type the URL as you used to, and you can go full screen and boom, you're there. It's a 3D photorealistic experience and everybody would understand it. And I think that's how it's gonna be.
This is Alex Kleanthis, and today we're talking with Aleksandr Agapitov, who's also known as Shurick to his friends, so I'll be calling him Shurick in this conversation. He's the founder and CEO of the world's leading payment company for gaming called Xsolla, which is used by the Epic Game Store, by a company called Twitch, which you may have heard of, by Ubisoft, and hundreds more. Today we'll be talking about the gaming industry, we'll be talking about NFTs, and the conversation which everyone's having today, which is around the Metaverse. And just quickly before we get started, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you get the latest episodes as soon as they're released. Now let's get into it. Welcome, Shurick.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, this is going to be a good conversation because I think the gaming industry is just expanding very quickly right now. There's integration of NFTs and there's this whole other conversation of the Metaverse, which for gamers probably is quite easy to understand, but for non-gamers, talking about the Metaverse is confusing at the very least. So let's get straight into it and let's start with Xsolla. So can you quickly explain to the listeners exactly what Xsolla does?
Sure. So simply saying, we are B2B company in a B2C industry. So we're helping game developers to have more sales, simply saying. So we living inside the video games like Fortnite, Escape from Tarkov, and some other games, like some of the Ubisoft games and Roblox. And every time when people make transactions outside of the Apple, they most likely using our service. And we helping the gamers from all over the world buy in-game purchases, microtransactions, or buy the games, because in the global world, gamers want to have the access to the games, same games like we have here in the US, and we helping game developers make more money and gamers to play the games on day one.
So basically, just to summarize, so you help the game developers to monetize their games outside of the app stores. Yeah. So there's the Apple Store, the Play Store, and then there's the payment facility which Xsolla provides. Is that the best way to explain it?
Yes.
And so when did you launch?
I started this company when I was 22 in 2006.
Wow. Okay. And it's, what's that now? 16 years later. So 16 years later, still around, and there's quite a lot of transactions that are going through the platform at the moment. So are you able to speak about the volume of transactions happening at the moment through Xsolla?
Yeah, roughly while we're speaking, it's 10 million users every month spending $15 on average. And that's for the past 365. For the past year was $2 billion gross volume, and my company is charging the 5% from that.
And if I can do quick math, 2 billion, 5%, $100 million a year, roughly?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty good for a company that started in 2006.
Well, gaming industry is growing and we're growing with it, yes.
So why did you get into this space specifically? Because it's really interesting that you chose to go into the payment facility business for gaming.
I don't have a lot of options and opportunities. As you hear my accent, I was grew up in a very poor family in Siberia. And I was a student in the math university, and I just want to find opportunities to make money to buy shoes and jeans for myself. So it's not something romantic. I would want to change the world. It's just looking for opportunity and looking the way to survive and get out. And back then in 2005, it It was the few things happening online. There's a lot of online games and a lot of new online payments. And I think opportunity always somewhere, and it's very visible. So today's crypto and metaverse, something's happening there, definitely. So, and past 16 years, I saw some of those things also. It's pretty quite obvious what to start. And it's just yeah, opportunities like a bus. They come in every 20 minutes, and they're very obvious. In 2005, it was very obvious something's going on there.
And so, are you a developer by trade?
I never had a developer job. I never have the formal education as a developer, but I do. I don't have a funding in the beginning, so I do, as a founder, I do everything by myself. I create the first version of the website myself, and for that, I learned the new developer language and HTML. I create first contract for my customers, and I get a lot of inspirations from the internet. And I think on the internet you can learn everything, almost everything. And yeah, there's a lot of copy paste, as you can assume, with the legal agreements. So, but yeah, I managed to do my presentation and the business speech, everything by myself in the beginning. And that's how I think today many my employees and the colleagues is growing. They doing themselves, and then later able to build their own team and hire, and that's how organization grow. We're not that kind of the static organization when it's a static size, and an employees going from the career ladder with a standard path. So if you can't join Xsolla, you most likely sooner or later is going to expect that you're going to build your organizations under you. So that's how we naturally and organically grow. It's a growth podcast. I thought that's what.
Of course. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And so you started off by yourself. You found some stuff on the internet. You wanted to make some money to buy some shoes and some jeans, which is probably how a lot of internet kind of entrepreneurs start, right? And then you found a way, maybe by accident, potentially on purpose, where you started by yourself, and now 16 years later, the company's making around $100 million. So, hey, that's a really good kind of introduction to the conversation, right? And I congratulate you on that because I know what it's like to copy and paste contracts from the internet and all that stuff, right? That's kind of the ultimate kind of the bootstrapping process, right? It's like seriously starting from scratch. But so you've achieved some pretty good success in the last 16 years, right? And so you would have seen quite a lot change. And I think like if anyone who's listening can remember back in 2005 and 2006, I think there was still a company called MySpace back then. I think this is before Facebook even launched, right? So just think about the things that Facebook's done, you know, in terms of kind of the social gaming, and then all the stuff with the iPhone. I think the iPhone was only 2006, 2007, right? And all that time since then, and now there's basically the Fortnite and the Metaverse. So a lot's changed in that time. Yeah. So, but so what have you seen as the biggest changes across the gaming industry since 2006?
When I began, it was a lot of the browser-based games, and it's a quite low-budget games when I start working with. It's basically a chat, and you can have some extra social activities there. And many of those games is expected to be free to play, and that's why services like mine is really interesting for those game developers, because we want to monetize most of the users. So in free-to-play games, is let's say 10% people actually spending the money, and 90% is playing for free. So you can easily imagine if you have relevant payment options and little seamless process, it could go from 10% to 20%. So it could be double money for game developers. It's a big deal. And I'm charging just 5%, and I'm helping the game developers of all size now. But I begin with working with these browser-based games. Then later, Facebook introduced the Canvas games, and it's you probably remember the Farmville.
Farmville. Everyone remembers Farmville. Oh my God, everyone was like gardening and farming. That was big.
Yeah, so that was kind of also the waves, and what's interesting viral mechanics, and have a lot of the Canvas games. It was a Flash games, which is now also that I would never imagine I would live longer than Flash. But it's that. And obviously mobile games enter the market right after the social games become this, and some people think in mobile games is going to be something like social games, or it could be similar platform, kind of not kind of a big deal. Many established game developers thought about the mobile games like it's not real games. It's not like this amazing art what we're creating for the console or PC. Similarly, like today, many established game developers, they don't respect the new crypto games, let's say. But turns out mobile games, it's enable a whole bunch of the new audiences would never play games before. Of course, people who play on PC probably very rare would switch to the mobile, and then when become the mobile dominate, and investors and VC saying about the PC games and PC as a platform's dying literally every 3 years. I was having very serious concerns about my business. Oh my God, what is really happening with my business if PC truly will die? But then esports kind of kick in, and we learn most of the esports and serious gaming is happening on PC platform, and because it's open platform, and most likely something what called Metaverse most likely going to have happening on the open platform as well. However, I have my own view on the Metaverse and how it could be, my own vision on the Metaverse, how it could be distribute faster when we think. And yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're going to get to the Metaverse soon, but let's stick with the gaming industry for now. So just to clarify, so in the beginning it was the browser-based games, and then it went to the social-based games. I say, for example, the Farmvilles, and then it went to mobile games, right? And the whole time there has been the PC games, right? Because that's been there since the beginning, right? But
that's applicable for my business. That's my personal journey. Was my payments and my services most relevant?
Yeah, sure. But I guess the payment system probably just reflects the ecosystem, right? Because the monetization of the games is the growth of the industry, right? Because no one is making them for free, just to make them for free, just to be a good person. I'm sure there's some, but the industry overall has to make money, right? So I think the payment platform perspective is extremely important. But so then it went to mobile games, and so now it's going into something else called the Metaverse. That's something that we will get to in a minute. But just to clarify, when you speak about smartphone games and the mobile games and so on, is that just what you buy in the App Store? Is that just kind of like you purchase a game, it's for free, and then there's all of kind of in-app purchases and so on? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. But on the Apple, before fight with the Fortnite, I don't know if you follow that. It's a big lawsuit battle between Epic and Apple. So Apple control how the payments get made inside the ecosystem, similar to PlayStation, and that's a part of the strategy, and that's a part of the monetization of their own platform. So I think it's fair to say Apple may treat some of the game developers as a suppliers, not as a consumers, because end users is their consumers. What my company has succeeded in doing is it's having game developers as the customers. So my customers are game developers. I need to apologize to my gamers users because I'm selling them and monetizing them. I'm that evil corp who monetizing monetizing the gamers and the kids in Roblox. And we give the fair refunds and fast and fair refunds. That's of the part of that's also because it's good for the business. Give the safe to the consumers in my view. Yeah.
But so smartphone games are the ones at the moment that is getting the casual gamer, right? So I say, for example, I've got some games on my phone. I play golf. I play Wordscapes. I play all these things. It's free, but then you pay for extra kind of advantages or benefits, right? And that seems to have been the growth across the gaming industry in the last, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Is that right?
Well, the mobile segment is the fastest growing segment, and with a lot of the consumers and a lot of the gamers and a lot of the industry growth coming from the mobile. However, PC and console have a very steady growth, and a lot of the hardcore gamers and they prefer to the PC, and mobile games is a good introduction for the casual users and who want to get have something fast. What's interesting is also with a lot of the research in a company like Newzoo have the reports about the industry pies and the growing the pies. And in my view, many of those research firms, they underestimate PC market share. And the reason is because everything what's happening on the mobile, it's open. It's almost. It's with a company called App Annie. You can find for the pay little subscriptions how much each of the game developers make money. And Xbox and PlayStation, they're both public companies, so they report some of the numbers about their own sales and the market. But whatever happened on PC, if some of the game developers, maybe 20 people, create an amazing indie game, maybe first games and making $100 million or $200 million, nobody would know that because there's no data. And I think PC is very underestimated. It's a bigger one, a media thing it is. And industry surveys on Game Developers Conference in San Francisco is, I think it's like 60% of the game developers actually developing games for PC now.
Right. And so you've got professional gamers, which is for the PC, semi-professional or more serious ones. And then you've got kind of the casual gamers on smartphones and stuff, because obviously smartphone gaming is nowhere near the experience, the speed, the engagement than the PC games, right? And then you have like this thing called esports, right? So esports is where people compete to win prizes, right? Or to win something, right? And so they all play on PCs, is that right? Or computers, is that right?
Yeah, most of the discipline. And that's actually, in my view, my humble opinion, it's a little bit overheated. So media and people talk a lot about the esports, but in reality, it's less than 1% of the representing the gaming industry, money-wise and even user-wise. Yeah.
So, just in terms of the gaming side of things, where do you see the gaming industry now going in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Definitely, everybody's thinking and about the metaverse and what does it mean. And I believe metaverse will come from definitely from the gaming technology. The people who work for the gaming industry have understanding what's possible and a lot of innovation coming from the gaming industry, and that's a reason I really enjoying the lifestyle of the business I have. So, for example, we can pick any innovation, a great innovation, like artificial intelligence, like and self-driving cars. They exist because of the company NVIDIA exists, and company NVIDIA exists because of the video games. NVIDIA is a video graphic cards manufacturer. So, or we can pick the virtual reality as an innovation. And virtual reality, most likely, before we're gonna do the surgery in the virtual reality, is most likely it's gonna be a gameplay in virtual reality. And many other things. We have a fast iPhones and fast computers, not to run office applications. People buy them to play video games. People buy the new iPhone to have a better camera and video games. And
So, okay. I understand the gaming industry now. I think that we've talked about that pretty well for the listeners and the viewers. Now let's jump to the metaverse and to NFTs, right? Because I was going to start with NFTs, but I guess let's start with the metaverse because they're both integrated, right? So let me see how to take this conversation right now. So let's go to metaverse, right? How do you define the metaverse? Let's start with that, because if you ask anyone, oh, what's the metaverse? Probably someone who's in the gaming space can probably explain it a lot better. But for the average person, the professional person even, right? Trying to get their head around what is the metaverse and who owns the metaverse and, what is Facebook's part in the metaverse? Yeah. So how do you define the metaverse?
My vision for metaverse is it's when game developers will develop the websites. So websites, as you know, you open your Chrome and you go on the website, it's now flat. It's like a book. In the future, every experience, new websites, so I would call them meta sites, will be developed using the game developers' technologies. And you go to the, Adidas.com today and surf the shoes. In the future, you go Adidas.3D World and can have experience what you expect as a video games. You can walk in 3D dimensions. It could be photorealistic, or it could be in some graphic style. And if you can see other visitors of the meta sites, you maybe get some items with you from one meta site to another meta site.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so look, I'll ask a lot of questions now because this is what it's about, right? So it's a 3D world. Is that the first confirmation? Yes or no? Is it 3D or is it not 3D? Because like the central land, which is part of the metaverse, we'll call it, and we'll jump to that in a minute. Is that 3D? Is that 2D? What is it? And I'm really going to try to get the definition right now, because trying to find this on the internet, conflicting information.
Yeah, in the video games, I get used to nobody knows anything. I'm trying to predict what's the next turn, and it's often coming from nowhere. And the video games, it's a lot of the things unpredictable. Yeah, so I can.
But is it 3D? So is the metaverse 3D or not?
In my view, it's a photorealistic 3D. In my view, it's a photorealistic 3D. And the reason why is photorealistic. So today, what I heard from the developers, photorealistic, using the Unreal Engine instead of their technology, Unreal Engine 5, it's maybe even cheaper to create when it's creating illustrative and like an artist, because they're using the technology called metascans. It's easy to scan objects in real world and maybe fine tune it and mix it with some of the created objects. And most, in my view, it's a photorealistic 3D using cloud gaming and deliver to the masses through just a simple home screen.
Right. And so the metaverse, right? Is the metaverse unlimited, or is it like land, or is it like unlimited land?
No, it's unlimited land. It's like a website. So every business, every company, maybe some people want to have their own home site or meta site, and similar like a website. Every business want to have a website.
Okay, so basically, okay, so if somebody says, "Hey, I want to access the metaverse," that's simply the same as saying, "Hey, I'm going to go into Fortnite." That's the same thing, right? Because that's a version of the metaverse, right? Or it's basically saying, "Hey, I'm going to go into Decentraland." Again, these are completely separate platforms, separate communities, but they have like a lot of people within the platform that interact with each other. Is that a good summary?
Well,
And it's fine if I'm wrong, because I'm going to keep checking if I'm correct or not correct.
my personal view, you don't go to Fortnite. You just go to the website, meta sites. You go to the Chrome, type the URL as you used to, and you can go full screen, and boom, you're there. It's a 3D photorealistic experience, and everybody would understand it. And I think that's how it's gonna be.
Got it. I'm getting it again. Cool. So you go to Chrome and it's a website, and then you're in the metaverse, right? It's a 3D photo realistic place where you can interact through the internet, right? And that's that's the metaverse. Now, assuming that is the case, right? So can I maintain my avatar and my wallet and all the things that make me me across the different metaverse, across the different sites within the metaverse?
Yes, that's one of the feature. Yes.
That's one. So it's kind of like, and I'm just going to use this example. It's kind of like the Facebook login. The Facebook login can be applied across every single website if you install it actually on your website, right? And so it's the same with the Facebook login or the Google login or the Apple login. And so there's a login which has your, I guess, like information about you, the payment facilities, and that's what you are going to be using. Is that a good way to think about it?
Yeah, today you can bring the little piece of the information with you from one side to another side. It's like a layer. So in the future, in the Web3, you're going to have the whole baggage of everything. So you're going to have a lot of the files with you. And the site going to decide if we want to use this luggage, some of this item or not. Is it practical for them to give you some benefits if you have some of the luggage? Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a bit of a, let's call it like an arms race towards who's going to own, not the metaverse, but the personalities in there. Yeah. The logins, the central place where everyone accepts that is the money in the metaverse. This is the identity like in the metaverse. Is this a true statement or not? And I'm going to keep, just doing it like this.
So in my vision of metaverse, I see it as every meta site will be created like old-fashioned Hollywood model movie. So a bunch of talented people come together, create this experience with the artists, there's the developers, with the vendors. They create this experience. They establish among them how they're going to split the revenue, and they move to the next project. And when you move to the next project, maybe you change the some of the vendors, some of the artists, somebody playing the leading role, different actors, and it's a set of other people. And those people and groups, like in Hollywood, will develop all those meta sites. And each of them going to have the credits or revenue share or stake in form of the tokens, and we're going to get paid for their effort and contribution.
I'm getting there. I'm slowly getting my head around this. So I really appreciate your patience here, Shurick. So then,
I'm happy to.
Yeah, this is good.
My ideas.
So then, what is Facebook doing? So they've changed their name to Meta. They just said they're going to be investing all this money into creating or like investing into the metaverse. And so, what are they actually trying to do?
What? I would not be surprised if the Facebook will fail in 4 to 8 years as a company. We will not remember, will become obsolete. I would not be surprised. What we're trying to do, and I'm assuming we're trying to create a gaming console, which is people done before. However, in his presentation, Zuckerberg talk about different items and NFTs, and they're going to adopt the NFTs for the Instagram. And I think Facebook is a really tough spot. So, and they need that rebranding more than just as a fresh idea because of the issues. But I think inability to create the currency, which U.S. government not allow them to create the currency where we can transact. That's a big deal. That's a deal breaker. So and adopt the other cryptocurrency. They're very behind from other companies who done that right. Companies like Coinbase, who could become this like explorer in the metaverse. So the one of the race is creating the explorer for the metaverse. What I'm building is like I'm building the cloud gaming technology with the Google and an Unreal engine and with my payments, so you can explore those meta sites created by a group of people. And we have this project that's my new project, and I focus on X.LA. So somebody could create this different explorer for those meta sites. So, and it could be displayed strapped to your head with 48% taxes. That's possible. But I think people would more adopt if it's just in Chrome and a radically new web experiences with which is most of the gamers having now and enjoying it many decades now. So when the people say, "Oh, imagine you can get the item, virtual item, and you can own it," and people who play video games say, "Come on, guys, do you ever play MMO? We have that 20 years ago." Mm. So, but it's roughly few hundred million players who hardcore players, gamers. It's not 2 billion users on internet or 3 billion users on internet. So I think having this cloud gaming, you familiar with the cloud gaming? It's like a Stadia, Google Stadia, when you can actually don't need to download the games. It's a streaming. It's like YouTube, but you can control it. So it's like a video stream like YouTube, but you can control it and play. PlayStation have, Xbox have a lot of successful. So playing actual PC games without the PC, but for cloud gaming, that could be the metaverse.
And so the metaverse has a lot of possibility right now. But just coming back to my question, just with Facebook, right? So what is Facebook trying to do? Is Facebook trying to create the one Chrome site that everybody will go into, and they've got their VR goggles and they've got their NFT payments and they've got all these things? Are they trying to create the world just like they've got their Facebook platform right now? It's a closed system where, you know, they can get external kind of information in there, but it's hard to get the information out. Like, is that what they're trying to build?
Yeah, think about like a YouTube, but you play not the video end 3D experiences. Game developers tools it's radically developed and it's on really high pace. There's two companies called Unity, which is get successful and get a lot of funding from the going public, and Epic Games, who get a lot of success with the Fortnite and get funding and reinvesting all the money what earned in Fortnite to democratize the video game developers. Those two competing in game engine is creating amazing tools, and today very small team can create really immersive experience and photorealistic unimaginable experiences. So in Xsolla, we have game developers of all sizes launching the games with us. I don't know, 40 times a month, 40 different games we launch a month. And some of the game studios coming from nowhere. It's student projects, and it's a very small team, and they created decent games and have a decent revenue. And that's very inspiring. And it seems like it's very democratizing, similar to like YouTube. When people get the cheap cameras and it's available to everyone, everybody can become the creators. In the future, anybody can become the creator of the sum of the environment or assets. Of course, obviously, all those technologies also are allowing to create a breakthrough innovations for the very creative teams and very talented engineers. But the level is going up from the top tier and for the bottom tier very, very fast.
So it sounds like you're a supporter of a decentralized and I guess like a metaverse that is not actually owned by anyone, a community-led one, right? You know, where it's not Facebook that owns it. It's not like Google who owns it or Microsoft that owns it, right? It's not about having a closed system. It's about having like an open platform, right?
Yeah, as I say, it's think about it as just a websites or meta sites. Every business is gonna want to have it, meta sites. They own it, they manage it, they admin it, and they accepting the guests, visitors. And when you visit those meta sites, you can see other visitors, and you can bring items with you, or you can get the items from this experience. And maybe you can have a shopping, maybe you have a social, and it's hard to predict what use case is going to be. Similar as like hard to predict what use case is going to be for the iPhone in 2005. But to start, it's going to be social and shopping, most likely.
Right. And so what are some of the interesting applications that some of the bigger brands are doing in the metaverse? Yeah, because there is some stuff happening at the moment. I saw some advertising. I think there was some billboards somewhere in the metaverse, right? So
yeah.
Yes, are you able to talk about that quickly?
Yeah, so brands want to have a presence in the metaverse. I think Minecraft have a lot of done a lot of collaboration with McLaren and other brands. On the entertainment side, Fortnite definitely is number one, having the live concerts and integration with other IP and Spider-Man and Marvel. This is, but in my view, what's coming is just everybody will have their own experience. Every business want to have their own experience, and some of the businesses will be created around like think about like a web studios helping to create websites for your business, and very niche museums could have. I would go to the Daft Punk Legacy Park and have this experience, or Tron experience, and or Studio 54 experience, and hang out there, and maybe we don't. It's very. That's what's intriguing is we cannot predict what kind of real application is going to be, because when we have this technology, when we start to use it, whether something's going to pop up, something like Uber get emerge from the iPhone because now this device have geolocation and we can, it could be Uber. So it's, until we have it, it's really hard to predict. But definitely shopping and social. I hope it's going to be less advertising. I think advertising it's people get tired from advertising everywhere, and I think with Web3, with alternative way how to promote the brands and items, and people could be more appreciated. One of the things what we see today is what's called airdrops with NFT community, but I think it's going to be a higher potential, maybe not necessarily NFT, but imagine you give away the digital items to the people who visited this show, this podcast, for example. I would happy to give them Xsolla NFTs special for this show, and later on, when they come back to my experience, I would recognize them and give them a T-shirt, or I would give them virtual item, or maybe I give them free tickets for something. That would be one of the mechanics. And because you helping me to give away those NFTs, you're actually helping me to acquire potential customers for my future endeavors, for my business. So I maybe embedded that in some sort of the revenue share for the customers you help me to acquire. In that sense, with no annoying advertising, people could, if they like what I'm talking about, they can claim the items and get the items. If they don't like, we probably can move on. And I think when we, in the future, users would most likely to accept the item, especially NFTs, and because they know somebody may have valued this. Eventually, it's maybe not them personally, but somebody who missed this live show could want to buy this NFT because value is provided, if it could be redeemable in many experiences. So I think, and one of the reasons I think Facebook could be out of business in 8 years, I think it's changing how advertising work.
Cool. Okay, we're going to jump into NFTs because that was a really good start to that. I just want to finish off just on the metaverse conversation quickly. So it seems that like websites, right? Cool. So in the beginning, there was all these websites and it was really hard to find anything. And then there was Google. And then basically, so they actually own all the website kind of access, right? And so they have now centralized that power, right? And then there was social media, and there are all these social platforms. There's Facebook, and now maybe some TikTok, right? And but they're the ones that actually have all of the personality information in there, and they have all of that stuff, right? So it would seem that the metaverse would have something similar. Like if there's all these separate, 3D environments, there needs to be a place to centralize it, right? And that's the thing that we don't know yet, right? Is actually how are you going to go between all the different experiences?
Oh yeah, that's pretty straightforward. So before Google was a Yahoo, who's manually collect the links of the sites they like by category. So it's easy to imagine how in 3D experience, when you have want to navigate the users and promote other meta sites you like, or your partners, it's going to be doors or portals. So you can go to these portals and end up on the different meta sites. And it can be a collection of the portals. And organized by
I like how you said, that's easy. We're just going to put portals between all of the 3D experiences. No problem.
No problem.
That's easy. That part's easy. Okay, everyone who's listening, hey, listen, that doesn't sound easy to me. So like if you're listening, it's okay if it doesn't sound easy to you as well. Just remember this guy, Shurick, he built a payment platform that like is now processing $2 billion of transactions per year. so okay, cool. Let's jump to NFTs now, because And this is kind of seems like this is what's going to power the metaverse. This is what's going to shift the gaming industry. Yeah. So what are your thoughts around kind of how NFTs are going to be integrated into gaming, into the metaverse, and so on?
We are very early with NFT protocol. There's a lot of the good critics saying NFT is not truly decentralized. They store it all in OpenSea, and it's OpenSea can ban the NFTs and stuff like that. I imagine is with the things called decentralized interplanetary file system, IPFS, I think. Yeah. So it's a technology allowing to store files on a decentralized network. I think NFT, next version of NFT, we're gonna keep some of the source files necessary for the it's working for the game inside the games, store on that file system. So it's a lot of it's very hard to develop the items which is work from one game to another game, and for the game developers, game developers drives them nuts. Why would I add some piece of the content for one users, and why I would support the items somebody else sold if I'm not going to get any money. So, and I think the biggest challenge here is economic incentives around those words working together. And I think the solution is somewhere among user acquisition and in user exchange. So if one item's moving from one game to another game, that could be used as a mechanics to create a context of the user acquisitions. So if that's meaning one game developers helping another game developers acquire the users, and most of the game developers they want to have new users, but it still need to be find a way how it's doesn't need to be justified. So it's a long progress until there's dreams when one item to another. We will work in many games because the biggest challenge is how to incentivize game developers work together. And in my view, they value users, their own users, and they value user acquisition. So it's something there.
So just to confirm, and correct me if I'm wrong again, because it feels like I'm going to be quite wrong quite a lot in this discussion, but how you see NFTs, especially within kind of the gaming industry and within the metaverse, is that the NFT can be used to purchase something in a game, and that thing can be ported to another game because that NFT is external to the game itself. That's on a decentralized platform, or that could be on something that's like the Ethereum, say, blockchain or something like that, but it's on something external, which can now be used across games. But now what you're saying is that the challenge is that the game developers need to have some incentive to create that, because at the moment it kind of encourages the users to go elsewhere, right? Not to stay specifically within the game. So what would need to happen then for this kind of innovation to start happening, right?
Yeah, so first, it needs to be next NFT standards specifically for the video games. And second, there need to be alignment among game developers. Financial alignment.
Financial alignment. So is there like
crypto is designed to solve those? Yes.
Sorry, what's that? Crypto is designed for that?
Crypto is designed to solve the economic alignments. Yes.
So you spoke at the very start of this discussion about crypto gaming. So what do you mean by crypto gaming? Because now it's all feeling like it's coming together that I'll actually understand what you're talking about when you say crypto gaming.
Well, today crypto gaming it's a games with NFTs and they not get a lot of respect from the traditional game developers. Same way how the mobile game developers doesn't get respect early on, very early on, and it's good possible crypto games become like open up for the new set of the players. That's a one scenario, but I choose to believe eventually the crypto games could work with many traditional game developers. Yeah.
What do you mean by a crypto game? Is this a game where you play and you earn crypto, or that you pay for it with crypto? So how do you define a crypto game?
Yeah, well, crypto games is something when you purchase NFTs and use this NFT to play the game, and maybe you do something with this NFT and they give you another NFT. Yeah, that kind of metamorphosis. Yeah.
Great. And so you purchase an NFT to play a game, and then within the game, you can earn NFTs, or you can actually continue purchasing some more stuff. I'm assuming it's like all the games right now, right? Instead of actually paying through the Apple Wallet or through Xsolla, you would pay through Xsolla's version of crypto, right? Or you pay with crypto, it links the wallet, and then everything's happening through crypto. Is that right? Is that step one of it at least? Is that like the beginning?
Yeah, the thing is, with digital items exist as decades. The thing is, NFT is an attempt to have a standards for digital items when same digital items could work in a different games, and it doesn't work today. And the two things need to be happen so it start working together. The economic alignment and NFT format need to be upgraded.
Sounds like there's a lot happening in the gaming space, including NFTs and the metaverse, right? So how is Xsolla now starting to adapt to this kind of whole new opportunity? Because like at the very start as well, you said that you were concerned about the future of Xsolla. You're like, well, what's going on with all the gaming stuff? Like it's going to change. But then smartphones actually became a thing, and mobile, that actually became a pretty large kind of source of the user acquisition and therefore the revenue for you, right? But now there's all this other stuff happening. So how is Xsolla looking to adapt for the future or to stay ahead?
Industry knows as a company who aggregate payments. We want to be known as a company who aggregate opportunities, and that's meaning we not only aggregate payments for the games, but we also want to help them to find ideas how to earn more. And then it's definitely something with the crypto and NFT. And 2 months ago, I decided to establish the Loonshot department in Xsolla, and I decided to be myself the Web3 entrepreneurs, because I built this enterprise and it's have a lot of employees, we have a lot of customers, and it's money involved. So it's a very serious business. So my CTO has become CEO of the Xsolla, and roughly it's 500 people work there, and we have more traditional payments and traditional video games industry, and it's have its own potential to grow also because it's mobile it seems open up after Epic stores. A lot of the mobile game developers, mobile first game developers now seriously considering to have the browser-based games and or PC version of their games. There's some mobile publishers like Scopely, and they have a lot of Marvel IP, which I'm a big fan. So they launched the browser version of their games. And there's 40 people who is work with me on X.LA, and I'm doing my entrepreneurial stuff again. And it's a totally different world. Web3 it's completely different. Everything is upside down. It's the way how people operate and deal with internet strangers. And it's very fascinating. Definitely something happening there.
So how many people there? Is that 4 or 48?
40.
40 people. Okay, cool. So you've taken you plus 40 people, started something on the side called X.LA, where you're trying to disrupt yourself. But also you've got this other, the big company that supports that, right? Which is continuing to grow as well. Just before we wrap it up, because I'm conscious of time, you did say something super interesting, which maybe it's something which we can end on. You said the Web3 is completely upside down. What does that mean exactly? Like, how is it completely upside down?
The things what we build, and we're not going to own it.
Is that because it's going to go onto the blockchain and it's going to be tradable?
It has to be open source, and it's traditional. In traditional business, you have a concept, you have a product market fit, you prove it, you raise the money, and you scale it with the resellers and partners. And in Web3, with things we're going to build it, we will not own it. A community will own it. Internet will own it. We're now looking for the partners who will help us to build it, who believe these things what we're building, it's necessary for the internet. After that, we might raise a lot of money, but not for ourselves, but actually to pay the partners to build it, who help us to build it. And only after that, we will have a product market fit. We hope it's going to be somebody like it what we built.
So,
and I'm building the company. I'm not going to own it, and that's a very strange feeling.
What's interesting is that you started Xsolla back in 2006, and now it's making $100 million a year. And now you're starting your next startup, but with 40 people and a bit of money. But now this is what you're trying to focus on now. And everything which I've had a conversation with you so far, like in the last hour, I'm really starting to, like, it's hard to get the head around, right? And so now you've created a whole nother venture called X.LA, which is trying to figure out this next part with 40 people trying. So I am going to keep following that specific journey because you've created something super interesting. And I really like your thinking around it's for the community. It's not for centralization. It's for everyone. I'm not quite sure if everybody like investing in the metaverse is thinking the same way, but I do like how you're thinking. So if somebody can support you, what's the best thing they can do? Like, is there somewhere they can sign up? Is there somewhere where they can support? Say, for example, like if they're a game developer or something like that, and they're interested like in participating in X.LA or like into the creation of whatever is going to be the metaverse, how do they get involved?
They can go to the X.LA and they left the email, and they're gonna get NFT from me, and we're gonna have an opportunity in Metaverse, what we're building.
Shurick, thank you so much for taking the time to explain these complex things, which probably are not that complex for you, but that are complex for the average professional in business, right? Sounds quite complicated, and it sounds like there's a whole nother world about to open up. And it feels like this is kind of like the beginning of the internet, which I thought was kind of the beginning of the crypto world, but it wasn't. That was still the kind of the same. And then I thought, hey, so maybe NFTs, but you know, they're like smart contracts, but it sounds like the metaverse is the next huge opportunity like the internet is. Yeah. So thank you so much for explaining all this today. And yeah, like we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Manifesto podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. For more episodes, please visit growthmanifesto.com/podcast. And if you need help driving growth for your company, please get in touch with us at webprofits.io.